And as you can see on the top of this, is talking about, or just some messages regarding the Holy Trinity and the attacks on the family. How all three, which is, this is not limited to just three family members, right? But you have the father, the mother, and the children, right? How all three are aggressively and strategically attacked individually and collectively, right? The divide and conquer plots or plot that's been long existing against the family unit, right? The ultimate source of security. Besides, the Most High, right? That Trinity with the Most High and the Great Mother and our souls, right? But this is supposed to be reflective in our reality as well in these families. So trying to create, lots of distrust among us so that we don't obtain this ultimate security, right? And instead swap out what security actually is, or their version, their form of security, which are ultimately self-destructive habits or items, right? Or substances or practices, right? So wanting to swap out divine security and protection with that is artificial, right? That ultimately only furthers or expands or lead to more violence or those type of things, right? So spiritual bypass, and also using spirituality or the using spirituality as a guise, because it's the most trending topic right now. Is what a lot of people are really attached to right now. So trying to capitalize off of that, right? Because we live in it's the world, is being really controlled by forces that capitalize, right? That kind of culture. So we got the great severing, Mars energy, anger, conflict, and softening to love. And then we got the courageous peony, multifaceted, unique nature, and letting yourself be seen. So remembering to zoom out, to consider common ground, not to look down on people, and seeing the bigger picture, remembering the bigger picture and the soul plan. The soul plan, the fated life, or how to recognize fate from destiny, right? Whether that's regarding ourselves or others, or just things going on around us, right? Okay, so the attack on the family. Also, spiritual bypassing, using spiritual concepts to avoid facing their real psychological issues, self-righteous about entitlement, and often being, self-righteous, entitlement, and often bring toxic positivity. When spiritual growth, this is what spiritual bypassing is. So let me be clear. When spiritual growth becomes a competitive and self-righteous endeavor, that is a rampant energy right now. Okay, the avoidance of doing the real psychological work, engaging, or basically these people being exposed left and right. The avoidance of doing the real psychological work, engaging in real vulnerability, being deeply self-aware of how they affect other people, and using superficial spiritual posturing as a way of actually denying core issues. I need to read that again. That was too choppy. So it says the avoidance of doing the real psychological work, engaging in real vulnerability, being self-aware of how they affect other people, and using superficial spiritual posturing as a way of actually denying core issues. Now, what do they mean by superficial spiritual posturing? I'm going to position myself or pose myself to seem like, I'm spiritual, or I have this information, this knowledge and stuff like that. I'm a spiritual person. I'm going to dress the part. I'm going to do the things that they say do. I'm going to post pictures of me being at retreats. I'm going to post pictures of me being out in nature. I'm going to post pictures of me eating fruit, having some plants, these plants I bought for clout. I'm going to do this. But it's just a front. It's just a form to manipulate, right? So pseudo-spiritual journeys becoming one more method of abuse by narcissists, right? Becoming a new or the most effective narcissistic trope, right? And then I want you guys, I don't know if you guys ever heard of this lady named Dr. Romney. She's a psychologist that posts a lot on YouTube about narcissism. So you might want to check her out. Anyway, she mentioned a show called Billions, because I'm going to check this out too. I kind of want to see it too for insight. But something about a show called Billions that basically is based on narcissistic characters, but it's like different expressions of narcissism, right? Because it's different manifestations of it. And one of those being the spiritual narcissist, right? The fake ass fucking spiritualist. The person capitalizing off of it. This is also talking about people who enable these people, enabling these individuals as well. So we must be deeply self-aware. All right, so those people who are truly spiritual and they're genuine, they're like genuinely pure in heart or about who they are, these kind of people would deeply be self-aware, not only of themselves but of how they affect other people. So it makes me think about people who get information and shit like that, or they're not at a place or a certain place anymore, and it's like a way of talking or it's like a way of treating people, talking people who, I don't know, who hasn't evolved, to that degree or whatever the case may be. Like just an energy, an attitude, an essence, that people develop towards these people, like this sense of, okay, it makes me think about the parable of the two guys who went to the temple to pray. One of the guys, I think he was like very successful financially, or things were just appearing to just be good for him, pleasant in his life, while the other guy, things weren't as pleasant. Let's say he had some type of battle, or he was battling some type of shadow work or iniquity or something like that, and so he's down on his face, humbly, praying to God, repenting, asking forgiveness. And then you have this other guy that's over here, and he's just like looking down, instead of focusing and worrying about himself. He looking over here at this dude. It's like the Jerry Springer conundrum video that I made. This whole, like, the Jerry Springer Maury show shit, right? Or reality, the concept of reality TV shows, how people use that as forms of escaping their own issues, escaping their own, like, selves, right? Their own inner worlds by seeing the mishaps and the dysfunction of somebody else, and then that making them feel better about themselves. But it's a false sense of satisfaction, a false sense of security, because you're only looking at a person's situation who's worse off than you, and then you're like, okay, well, that's what makes me feel better, to see somebody else doing bad. And it's like, it's not supposed to be that way at all. Now, should it put you in a more grateful attitude, or to put you in a more like appreciative and an energy of gratitude? Yes. But this is talking about individuals like kind of banking on this, to derive their source of like confidence or self-esteem or some shit like that from it. People who derive their self-esteem from this, right? So basically, he started saying, I'm glad that I'm not like this person. I'm glad that, basically my shit don't stink like them, or I have a bigger house, or, I'm glad I'm not in that situation, and, looking down on that person, this, that, and the third. And it's like, the person who was down on their face, being vulnerable, like true vulnerability, and like wanting help, right? Wanting to receive help and solution here. That individual was the person who was most respected in the eyes of God, opposed to the other person. Even though they felt like they were more entitled to be, God's favorite. So, something about that energy as well. About these people, this spiritual bypass energy. Okay, so let me finish reading this. So it says we must be deeply self-aware, not only of ourselves, but of how we affect other people, catching ourselves before we offend them. Do not manipulate people or judge them from a self-righteous positivity pedestal. Do not feel entitled to forgiveness. So these people, saying how we're not entitled to forgive people on their timing. Like the people, I remember I used to talk about this because of a Leo that I encountered. a couple years ago in the spiritual community, that a lot of people was like enabling this person's like delusions, right? Just because of what they look like and what they had, and because they made music, and because he was dark skinned with dreads and he looked spiritual, and you know, he was attractive, he was a Leo, right? So how people are, you know, people was enabling this individual, and like the shit they was saying, a lot of stuff they was taking and regurgitating from me or from other people like me, right? And trying to embody our essence or cloak our energy as if it was his own for the sake of gaining clout, right? So I remember I left social media as a result, because this motherfucker had flying monkeys and everything, attacking me or whatever. So I remember I had left social media for a while, and not just because of him or whatever. My main reason for leaving social media or deleting my Facebook page at the time was because of, I guess, you know, the reality of how non-discerning people in the spiritual community actually were, like, or weren't, or whatever. I couldn't believe that, even though, you know, I saw right through this, I knew for a fact, because I had direct contact, you know, access to this individual, to know what was going on behind the scenes, to know their pure and truest intentions, right? But still, like, having a aspect of me that can see through those things anyway, whether I had that closeness to him or not, and just seeing how other people receive and respond and enable this person and lack the ability of clear perception, clear thinking, clear cognition, right? So I remember that was one of the reasons I had left. This was the kind of person who, they weren't really an accountable person. They didn't feel like they had to apologize about certain things, or like how things that they say or did would affect somebody else or affect me or somebody, that they didn't feel obligated or feel like that was like righteous or non-righteous for them not to, you know, address me properly and correct the matter or correct the issue, right? They feel like, well, I'll just go to God, I'll just talk to God about it, and God forgive me. I'll just say, God forgive me. I'm gonna, you know, still step on motherfuckers to get to where I want to go, to get what I want, but I'll just ask God to forgive me for the motherfuckers I stepped on. God to understand, right? So individuals like this that depend on this, and then people, you know, sit there and they co-sign, they enable them because of what these people acquire materially, right? Or physically, what they look like on the outside, or how they dress up, you know, their words and the shit that they say, right? Very alluring, charming individuals, right? Charmers. When you think about it, people who are narcissistic are very charming, right? Like a snake charmer or some shit. So, see, especially when it comes to your reproductive energy, your root chakra. Okay. So it also says spirituality is now a brand for people looking for shortcuts and get out of jail free cards. Narcissistic people are clever enough to know what sells. I've been talking about this shit with tarot readers, or like just with spiritualists, fake ass spiritualists, capitalizing off nature, prostituting nature for clout. But they don't really give a fuck, for real. They just know that's what's hot at the time, right? Willingness to do deep dive, to excavate our demons and anxieties, right? This is a person who is truly sincere about their spiritual journey. This is what we do. So we have a willingness to do deep dives into ourselves, to excavate our demons and anxieties, to be vulnerable in the face of them and integrate them. Instead of running away, escape, projecting, deflection, we get up and we fight the good fight every day with real empathy. I want to read that again. So people who are truly sincere on their journey have a willingness to do a deep dive into themselves, to excavate our demons and anxieties, to be vulnerable in the face of them and integrate them instead of running away from them or escaping, or going to different forms of escapism, or deflecting, projecting, right? Whatever the case may be. Instead, we get up and fight the good fight every day with real empathy, right? So narcissistic sneak attacks into, oh, also, you know, in our communities or whatever, these chameleons within the community, how they take this information or whatever and then they use it destructively. Like, okay, so they learn about astral projection, right? And they was already like a motherfucker that stalked people that feel entitled to somebody, entitled to a certain person, stuff like that. It was already like that. And then they learn about how to astral project. And so they start doing that in the spirit realm, in the unseen realm, in the dream state, right? Completely violating and trespassing people. So, all right, and it says that we should be taking ownership of ourselves first and not invalidating other people. All right, so let's get some messages regarding the Trinity, the family, attacks on the family. What does that look like? 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 So we got pioneer, passion for doing and creating what has not been done yet. That's the light attribute. And the shadow attribute is compulsive need to keep moving on. What messages, divine, do you have in regards of the Holy Trinity, the family, the attacks on the family? Pioneering addictions, or trying to keep people, or trying to make people codependent on addictions in order to move forward. So the whole concept of coping mechanisms. So the light attribute of addict is helps you recognize and confront addictive behavior, because this person is pushing the waves, pushing the water away. You know, water represents emotional energy, right? Discernment and intuition, receptivity. So being receptive to one another and receptive to each other's emotions here. That's why we have this love empowering this light bulb. This light bulb is lit because of the love, right? So the shadow attribute says compromises integrity and honesty, allows an addictive pattern to have authority over your inner spirit. What are the messages you have in regards to attacks on the family? Attacks on the family we need to be aware of. So we got the wounded child reverse, but I'm still going to read both energies. It says the light attributes awakens compassion and desire to serve other wounded children, opens the learning path of forgiveness. But the shadow attributes are blames all dysfunctional relationships on childhood wounds, resists moving on through forgiveness. That came out reverse. So also trying to create trauma in the child early. That's where they're trying to start it at, because then it creates a ripple effect. Like when that child grows up and they'll end up magnetizing another wounded child energy, and then they get together, they have a child and they haven't healed those wounds or whatever. They're addicts and they're raising a child in that, creating the same damn cycle, right? So this is the attack on the family. What are the messages you have in regards to attacks on the family, the Trinity, destroyer? Light attributes, releasing what is potentially destructive, preparing for new life. So holding on to things longer than need to. Shadow attributes, intoxication with destructive power, destroying others' dreams or potential. So being dream crushers too, or destroyer of aspirations, goals, ideas, right? So doing that to one another, or not supporting one another's like dreams or unconventional dreams and aspirations, something like that. So not having like real faith in one another, believing in each other. So dilettante. Delights in the arts without having to be a professional. alerts you to, I already know what that is. That's like sports, right? But telling, feeling like, oh, you have to become, or you have to make it to the NBA or NFL, da 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 da, and instead of just delighting in it, opposed to it being, oh, we need this for income, we need this for our stability, you need to take this serious, you need to make this a serious thing, and not, a source of play and enjoyment for yourself, just because you like to do it, you enjoy it. Alerts you to the danger of becoming superficial in your pursuits. So to make us superficial, to make us adopt superficial pursuits here that ultimately lead to more dissatisfaction and depression, and thus addictions. To escape from it all, to cope with it. So shadow attribute is pretension to much deeper knowledge than you actually possess. So this is also talking to acting like we know shit, or we know it all, or whatever, and just moving according to that, but not really, listening. Or it makes me think about the parents. Let's say a child has developed or gained like more aligned or accurate right education, but the parents have been programmed or whatever to think that whatever knowledge they have is the right knowledge or the right information instead. And instead of listening to one another, hearing each other out, right? This is talking about like having a stubbornness, or like being like cynical towards one another, right? So then we have Prince reverse. Romantic charm. Oh, the light attribute is romantic charm and potential for power. And then shadow attribute, using power for self-aggrandizement. I need to look at that word. I know what grandiosity, I know what it is, but I still need to look at that word for a second. Oh. It's been a while since I read out of that booklet too. Where is it? So the shadow prince can manifest as a young man with great feelings of entitlement, who uses his position and power purely to advance his own interests without regard for the needs of others. Alright, so this is talking about how the sons are being raised. They're supposed to be raised on characteristics of generosity, fairness, compassion, and wisdom that should be balanced, as they are a ruler in training who serves the people he will someday lead, whether in a literal, figurative, or spiritual kingdom. But instead, passing on feelings of entitlement, using your position for power purely to advance your own interests without the regard or needs of others. That's one of the attacks. And then we have goddess, the light attribute, the feminine expressed through wisdom, nature, life force, and sensuality. Shadow attribute, exploitation of the female nature and form. And then we had shapeshifter over here. Skill at navigating through different levels of consciousness, ability to see the potential in everything. Shadow attribute, projecting any image that serves your personal agenda in the moment. exhibits instability, fickleness, and lack of conviction, like politicians who reinvent themselves to appeal to the latest popular trends. So, a lifetime pattern of flexibility, changeability, or deceptiveness, especially tied to your work or family life. The shapeshifter is also the spellcaster. The correct way to use this is to change appearances and navigate through different levels of waking consciousness, dream states, in the astral plane for positive reasons. Damn, this is wild. Let me get the added one. There's a lot of people who feel like imprisoned in their minds right now. I've been hearing Tim's song like past few days, Free My Mind. People got a lot of chaotic thoughts or thought energy, air energy going on right now. Needing to ground that energy, focus on the present moment, literally. Also, deep breathing, because that sends oxygen to your brain to help clear out your thoughts as well. Okay, addict represents the absence of self-control and eternal balance, and compromises your integrity and honesty. Lifelong patterns of trying to overcome the tendency to need a substance or person so intensely that you compromise relationships, finances, integrity, character, or emotional psychological well-being. So this is a conspicuous consumer, glutton, workaholic, and can even be a gambler. Is not limited to drugs, alcohol, food, and sex. Helps you recognize when any external force has more authority over your willpower than your inner spirit does. Perseverance in breaking its hold empowers your psyche. So that was the correct way. This is how it's supposed to be. This is why we should be able to talk about these things, right? So addict. Want us to be addicts. And non-present. Unavailable to our reality. Okay, so the wounded child. And it's crazy, I was having a conversation with my roommates yesterday about, and I already said this in the last video I did, but about how some people have a misconception around what does it really mean when Spirit says that we are born into sin and shaped by iniquity. Some people think that you're just born evil. Some people think that that's what that means. Like you're born dark or whatever the fuck. Or low, having low vibrational attributes to you or inside you just because of like your parents or whatever. But in actuality, no, you're born pure. You're born in the likeness of the Most High. Unless you was a karmic, or whatever. Like some people do like intentionally try to have satanic children. That is a real thing. Satanic children are birthed through the womb as well. But for the most part, we are born pure and we're shaped by, let's say, the toxic generational patterns or curses that our families may still be exuding, that our mom, our dad, our siblings, our whatever, the people around us are still exuding, our environment are exuding these sinful or low vibrational demonic things and patterns, right? And then we get shaped by it because children are impressionable and our brains are malleable when we're children, right? So anyway, the wounded child. So this is talking about wounding us intentionally, trying to wound the child intentionally. And that's what kind of keeps that cycle going. You wound the child, right? That child grows up into a mother or father, has a child. And this is the thing. This is what ends up happening, though. What ends up happening is that when you're raised by people who are wounded, like, right? You end up not only becoming a wounded child, but also attracting other people who are wounded, right? This doesn't always result to a bad outcome. It can be a good outcome sometimes. But these people have to be individually mentally strong and aware about their lives, like, and actually heal, right? Or just conscious of themselves and why they are the way that they are, why they do what they do. But if you're not, right, typically we'll be holding on to this frequency and we'll attract other people in that frequency. And so the attack on the Holy Trinity is to keep that cycle going. Period. Okay, so the wounded child archetype holds the memories of abuse, neglect, and other traumas that we've endured during childhood. Many people blame unbalanced relationships with their parents that created their wounded child for all their subsequent dysfunctional relationships. On the positive side, the painful experiences inherent in this archetype often awaken a deep sense of compassion and desire to help other wounded children. From a spiritual perspective, a wounded childhood cracks open the learning path of forgiveness. The shadow aspect made manifest as an abiding sense of self-pity, a tendency to blame our parents for any current shortcomings and to resist moving on through forgiveness. It may also lead us to seek out parental figures in all difficult situations rather than relying on our own resourcefulness. Our own resourcefulness. Pioneer. That's what I'm hearing. That's why the Pioneer card says a compulsive need to keep moving on, but not wanting to deal with shit. Look at this card. Not wanting to face shit head on or be vulnerable, but wanting to move away from it quickly, sweeping under the rug. That's a common phrase that's said, in families like this. Having to deal with people around you, or adults around you, suppress things or cover shit up, or but there's no real resolve that happens, right? So it also manifests as blaming yourself. A habit of blaming a painful childhood. I'm just being stuck there. Okay. So a destroyer represents I don't know what that is. What's an Attila? But anyway, a mad scientist, a serial killer, or a spoiler. Mad scientist. These chemicals. So okay. Yeah, that's why it's a volcano. It's a volcanic eruption. So something about elixirs as well, and how that is used as an attack on the Holy Trinity. So the products, lotions, body washes, deodorants, perfumes, colognes, hair dyes, shampoos, sodas, juices, just different things that have like a lot of toxic shit in it, that our skin drinks this up, right? And it ultimately impacts what's going on within, like the inner self. Anything happening to the outer self, to your body, there's something going on within. It's something, either your psyche, something's going to be off. If one thing is impacted, something else is going to be impacted naturally. That's how they go. Becomes intoxicated with destructive power and can manifest as a dictator, or a nation that destroys other nations, or as people who destroy the environment. A pattern within the psyche that destroys relationships and promotes attitudes and opinions that destroy other people's dreams or potential. Confirmation. So an impulse to destroy and rebuild can be beneficial when releasing that which is limiting us as therapists or spiritual masters who destroy our illusions. This doesn't really need to be long. It's kind of straight to the point. and diva. Manifest. Oh, this is talking about the goddess energy. How they want the feminine to be impacted. So wanting the feminine to be extremely self-indulgent. As in movie stars and fashion models. These influencers. These fake role models. But this is talking about how the women, as we know, are supposed to embody wisdom, guidance, physical grace, athletic prowess, and sensuality. So personalities, similar to, they have Athena, Minerva, the able-bodied warrior woman and the power behind the throne. Venus, beauty and sexuality. Isis or Durga, motherhood. Oshun, East African Yoruba goddess of pleasure, love, and beauty. Astarte, fertility and sexual love, or Kuan Yin, Chinese embodiment of compassion. So dilettante that came out manifests as a pretension to much deeper knowledge than you actually possess, taking your dabbling too serious. So intermeddling, or just not giving like another person's like thoughts or their information, their wisdom, not giving it enough like credibility or respect just because it's different from yours. All right. So delighting in the arts or other areas of endeavor without going very deep. So this is talking about like not treating the artistic things, right? People who have like these kind of energies, like they're artistic or they want to pursue arts and stuff like that, and not taking it serious, or trying to develop like I guess parents, an environment around us who don't really take it serious or like really look at it as deep as you do or whatever. So to kind of downplay it, and yeah. So a dilettante is a lover of the fine arts who never rises above the level of an amateur. By extension, a jack of all trades, master of none. Amateur applies to the realm of sports or useful arts such as cooking and gardening. Both can alert you to the danger of becoming merely superficial in your pursuits or losing the love that drew you to your avocation in the first place. Also, y'all, I kept getting messages about master number 33 everywhere. I dreamed about it. This morning, with my partner, I seen it in a license plate. And all this week, it just kept resurfacing. Like, of course, it's going to show itself throughout my life anyway, because that's my life path. But I don't know. I feel like lately, this past week, it's kind of been like over exaggerating itself to me, like revealing itself to me. So what I got was, this is because like something to do with family, the family unit, something about this coming together. Yep. When back on course. So us getting back on course in our family units here, or our foundation, what family actually is. So back to the basics. We got genius, spiritual scientist, and ancestor, or ancestry. Huh. So back on course, no, winning and back on course, genius, spiritual scientist, ancestry. So something about this ancestry. Whoa. Yeah, they wanted us to be, yeah, so of course, the karmic mothers and Yeah, that spiritual bypass with taking and stealing or trying to will certain partnerships or manipulating people to be with you, to do things for you or whatever in the dream state. Moving away from that, suicidal. Blood magic. Okay, so we still talking about, I guess this is still referring to the attacks, right? What kind of attacks? To make us suicidal, attacking us for our blood or manipulating our blood. Wanting us to be frail, fragile, and weak. But that came out reverse because we're not. Transformed. So we got burning reverse. Like, they're not going to be able to burn down these foundations here. Yeah. They're going to be in too much mental conflict and anxiety to be able to. And then we got, look, legendary, self-made. Legendary, self-made. But this is wanting us to be single till death. Like, what in the world? Because we have these child prophets. Wrath. It is judgment season. We gonna see the wrath all around us. Keep an eye out. Keep an eye out. It's judgment season. On these tyrannical energies here, intentionally trying to create all these different forms of attacks and manifestations to kill off these people or create, discord and destruction, divide and conquer. Look, attacks through STDs, bringing, disgrace, bringing goddamn diseases and shit with wherever the hell they go. Literally preying on the downfall of the Holy Trinity families, the true divine family foundations, and playing any side that benefits them, a scorner. So sometimes trying to get direct access as well in order to get in people's minds or get in the husband's mind, get in the child's mind, get in the mother's mind and fuck with their, fuck with their psyche or their perception of things that goes against what they were taught in the home. Guilty. I just saw the guilty card. Or through their karmic friends. So that's like one of the witchcraft forms of witchcraft here. Friends, look, these karmic friends are making these false karmic friends through social media or some shit like that to help wield these imbalances. Yep, targeting people who are of the bloodline of Solomon, divine judges, wise counsels, or people or families who are taught or raised to have an understanding heart. We got death is knocking. Alright, and it says spell work is affecting my behavior, mood, and decisions. So once again, conjuring these karmic friends from social media to help facilitate, this confusion and imbalance, to keep us stuck. Damn, I can't fucking show it. Stuck. Yep. Yeah, it's coming to an end. That Babylonian energy coming to an end. Like a thief in the night. Like a thief in the night, stressed out. Because these families now, the real royal families now are focusing on peace here. They're focusing on establishing peace, or regaining, reobtaining their peace in their family unit, in their household. Attracting what? Attracting wealth, because I saw palms itching. Attracting what? Something remarkable. But you got these minions. Look. Look at this shit. Where is that card? These minions and flying monkeys on assignment here. And it doesn't have to just be through social media, but this is a part of the attacks, the witchcraft, right? The different plots waged on the families. It says looks are deceiving. Looks are deceiving. Sometimes less is more. Gratitude and focus on contributing virtuous energy, right? Instead of focusing on what's most attractive here through social media. So literally, okay. This shit is obvious as hell though. Like these kind of attacks here on the relationships. Like, do we really all have to be on social media all the time? Like, does that really have to be our new norm? Look, churches work. Oh my God. Crooked church members, hidden lust, greed, affairs, theft, dirty deacons on the down low. This is also an attack on the Holy Trinity. Something about families definitely moving forward or moving away from these kind of energies here in order to like really reestablish their foundations. Spell work and spell casting in the church. Yeah, this is saying, I know you have been fighting, my sacred anointed warrior. My thoughts toward you are good. Yep. Health attacks. Built up plaque and brain, hardened hearts. So the food as well. Oh my God. Okay, first of all, I'm going to show y'all this because it came out. But look at this. These fathers, or the whole frequency of narcissism or whatever, people being overcome with like this narcissistic spirit, right? Because this is something that was really formulated and developed by the media. That's not God's plan. That came out reverse. This attacks on the father here, right? Attacks on the father, like to put him in this prince energy, reverse. Using his power just to get ahead and not giving a damn about, you know, other people's needs, desires, and emotions, especially of his family. Look, drugs, prostitution, emotional distress. So yeah, so trying to create sexual addiction in the men or in the father or whatever to make him have some type of infidelity against the mother, the family, or some shit like that, that causes emotional distress. So that's a common attack as well. Yep, because it always grows like, oh my God, it always grows. It's like mold, or like, it's like when somebody comes in and they got the flu and they walking around sneezing and coughing and shit, not covering up their mouth, spreading those germs, right? And then other people get sick, right? So this is also about putting us in fear or making us not have like integrity and dignity, or not too scared to protect the family, to stand up for each other or some shit like that, or defend our rights. Yeah, because it said mask off, exposed. The additions cannot cover up the truth. So wanting us to have a fear, developing a fear of uncovering the truth here. And I feel like this is why they kind of put in our face, like, defaming certain people who do try to serve like as a positive influence, right, or a divine tool or vessel like to the community, especially like the black community and stuff like that. This is why they always try to like humiliate these people or ruin their reputations or make it seem like they're psychologically ill and shit like that, right, to put other people in fear. So, or like our leaders like Malcolm X or people like that, and killing these people off and try to put us in fear when it comes to exposing shit. Oh, rotting in jail, prison, physically or spiritually, no way out. Once again, the attacks on the Holy Trinity. And we got fandom too. So this could talk about wanting to be social media famous. Or, I don't know, man. This is crazy, man. Trickery. Trickery. So that's an attack on the child. That could be an attack on the child. Or everybody now. It's like everybody want to be goddamn. With so much, most activity or like interaction going on social media after COVID, it's like most people kind of want to be social media famous. And not for like good reasons, but for the sake of like vanity or like false sense of support or something like that. But not to want to help mermaid. Attacks on the family, and then mermaid came out. So it must be like the water energy. Homelessness. Stuck. Ilegua. What? Hold on. Because I just heard like property. This morning I asked my partner, because my partner has he's the oldest of his siblings, and so anyway, he basically was the father figure in their lives, right, or served as one of the father figures in his siblings' lives. And so I asked him, a question that's very difficult to a lot of people nowadays because of our culture and what they keep pushing, right? I asked him this morning because he has a little brother and a younger sister. I said, if your little brother or little sister was to go to school and some adult there tell them, hey, even though you was born a boy, you could actually be a girl. It's okay if you feel like you're supposed to be a girl. Or even though, physically, you was born, in this gender, you could be the other one. Now, if your sibling come home and they say to you, their big brother, their father figure, I think, or your little brother say, because, and my boyfriend, he's very, like, masculine and macho, right? He's very masculine. But, I mean, no, he's not overly masculine, but he's a full-blown masculine. Ain't none of that funny stuff with him. But, when I asked him, but he also has friends who are LGBT too, so he's not that kind of person. He's very understanding, actually. So I asked him, though, if they were to come and you was put in that position, what would you say? Like, isn't that crazy that people or parents are having to be put in like these uncomfortable like positions on sexuality, like with their small children, right? And how this discomfort, this psychological discomfort is being pushed on us, right? And I asked him, what would he say? And he would say, well, you have some people, there are some people at that school or that person or those people were trying to program you into think something, that is obviously biologically untrue. And basically he said he would tell them the truth. Like, he would tell them that, no, you were born out, you's a boy and you's a boy, like, period. And this, and I know this is a touchy topic, right? So just really think about that, though. If your brother has been raised all his life as a boy, thinking he was a boy, enjoying being a boy, being up under you, right, and your masculine energy, and you promote like a healthy sense of a masculine in front of him, and then one day all of a sudden he come home and say, you know what if I'm supposed to be a girl, or I think I'm a girl. So it was, so I just want to give some more context, right? Because once again, children are impressionable and malleable, and we're shaped by our environment. We're shaped by this world. We're born into it. We're born into a world where evil already exists, and then we get shaped by it. How does a person get shaped by things? Right? A lot of it has to do with what's going on in the home. How they're being raised and guided in the home. How they're being taught in the home. This is why people say hatred can be taught. Right? So, just putting that out there. But let me see what Elegua is talking about. And it's time for me to go. That's right, Elegua was a child. Or sometimes represented as a child, and then other times as an elder. Wow. Okay, so he represents the beginning and end of life. So this is talking about cycles ending, or new cycles beginning here, regarding the family unit. The Orisha of Crossroads. But it's not just him, it's not just Elegua that's Orisha of Crossroads. No, I don't think the other one is an Orisha, but he's like a messenger of some sort, like for the Orishas to humankind. Is it Exu? I just pulled his energy out recently in a reading. Yep, and he right on top too. Perfect. This guy also protects or guards the crossroads or something like that too. But anyway. Okay. He is even syncretized in several denominations native to those areas at St. Anthony, not as Archangel Michael or as the Holy Child of Atocha. So Elegua is the Orisha or deity of crossroads, paths, chance, and change. And I just saw something that said the family tree, so that's confirmation. The God of crossroads. He is a God of the beginning and the end of life, a God of paths, roads, change, a God of doorways and entrances. He's also viewed as the messenger god of the chief deity in Santeria, or a messenger of the god in the most other monotheism religions, where Elegua is recognized more as a spirit or an archangel. What? Aludamari, that came out too. In another reading I did recently. But the Holy Child. Child prophet kept coming out today as well. So something about the attacks on the children. It's really, it's like when it affects when it's hitting home, like with the children, this is really what snapped people like back into reality, or snapped the parents back into reality. I gotta go. So I'm not gonna read that. A god of life. Okay, Elegua is often called upon and prayed to in reference to pivotal parts of people's lives: births, deaths, marriages, and life transformations. All fall, all fall under Elegua supervisions. Okay, something about the significance of red and black colors as well. Because these colors represent ever-changing cycle of life and death, peace and war, beginnings and ends. All the things, all the things Elegua presides over. Essentially, he presides over all key parts of life and all journeys, both literal and metaphorical. All right. Well, on that note, line me up. Hold on. Yep. The repetition of number 3 twice is number 33 that signifies the Holy Trinity. That's why I kept getting that. And I definitely did not look this shit up before. Don't ignore this highly respected holy number. So, number 3 that appears twice and enhances significance and it enhances its significance and influence. Number 3 indicates an increased expansion, spontaneity, encouragement, broad-minded thinking, skills and talent, communication and self-expression, assistance and manifestation. Angel number 33 shows the energies of blessings, companion, honesty, inspiration, courage, bravery, and discipline. It means that things are possible. This is a number in connection with ascended masters, and a repeated message that means ascended masters are around you to assist the family unit, encouraging you to live with optimism and enthusiasm, knowing that you are supported and loved and well blessed in all that you do. All right. Number of creativity, spiritual illumination. When angels send messages containing a master number like 33, you can be sure that they are referring to events that have major significance in your life. One of the most common ways that we may encounter an extremely powerful angel number is in our dreams. Didn't I say I had a dream of it last night? And I woke up. Look, when I looked at the timer, it was 3:30 in the morning, 3:30 a.m. when I woke up and looked at my phone. Dreams often contain messages from higher powers meant to provide us with the inspiration and encouragement that we need to achieve our higher purpose. When you awaken in the middle of the night and see a time like 1:33 or 3:33 on the digital clock, make an effort to relax your mind and remember your dreams. Yada yada yada. 33 is a sacred number, the master teacher, helping you realize and achieve your higher. I already said that. Living life with strength, optimism. It is a sign of a life of abundance, charisma, and mystical societies. Affecting the economic and political trends of today's world. Three is a holy number, one highly respected among the celestial world. Represents the Holy Trinity, mind, body, and spirit. You should not lose faith, and you can find you love and goals in life. Reminds you about your connection to God and the Ascended Masters. It shows that you are at the point of significant creative breakthrough. It indicates love and understanding and pulls you toward your soulmate. Something about experiencing a deep love for your partner or your loved ones. Your connection with your love will be strengthened, and you will achieve new goals of understanding. You are being supported towards your relationship and family goals. Number 33 is related to the promises of God as well. I read something yesterday too that said that Yeshua had meditated a total of 33 times recorded in the Bible. And everyone knows Yeshua passed, or he transformed at the age of 33. Okay, the 33rd time the name of Noah is used in scripture is a special promise made to him by God. The promise is eternal, not to destroy the world with the flood. It is mentioned at some point that God showed the sign of a rainbow for this pledge. Not destroying the world. It didn't say different parts, but the world. At that time, the child of promise is born when Abraham was 99 years old. Number 33 is significant in the book of Revelation, as a total number of times number 3 is used for 33. The reason is that the product of number 3 times 11 is 33, and it indicates God's judgment. So being under heavy judgment at this time. Number 33 in the Bible has also indicated the final judgment that will be accomplished in final 3.5 years and will lead to the second arrival of Yeshua. It is also apparent at the death of Yeshua at age 33. The sacrifice of Yeshua was made in 30 AD and was the answer prophecies of people about the promises of God. The angel number 33 is a message from your angels that don't give up on your purposes, and breakthrough is just around the corner. Alright, you guys, your girl, the Authentic Empress. I hope you guys were able to get some clarity and confirmation from this, and I'll see you next time.